7 p.m. Go. All right, I will call this meeting to order. This is the public hearing for the planning board on February 4th, 2019. We are having a public hearing as a part of the process for the warrant article that is being proposed. The warrant article is to amend zoning ordinance Article 2, Section E, Commercial Industrial Zone on Route 4, to delete the permitted use of residential, single-family, and multifamily not to exceed 4 units, and to amend zoning ordinance Article 2, Section F, multifamily development, to delete the permitted wording use, or use wording in this section that already is specified in other districts. It's under the separate district regulation sections. So this is really just a little bit of cleanup, but primarily it's deleting the permitted use of residential single-family and multifamily not to exceed 4 units. So this is a public hearing. The planning board, I do want to just go around the board here and recognize who's here.
Teresa Bascom.
Tony Dumas, Select Board.
Edward Veal. Dirk Grotenhuis.
Gary Anderson.
Joe Clough.
And I will open the public hearing. There unfortunately is no public here that wants to speak about this article. I will just give a quick description for any of the viewers at home, so that you would have an understanding of why and what we're doing. This has been talked about through the master planning and discussions of the planning board about the commercial uses that we do have that we have zones for, which are primarily along Route 4, and then a small subset of commercial use in the town center. So those are the two only dedicated districts that we have that permit commercial uses. The rest of Nottingham is zoned agricultural residential, which there are some commercial uses within that, but there's a process that would be different. If it was an allowed use, then you don't have to get any exceptions or zoning variances to do that. So I guess Joanne, if you can just maybe switch, I will talk.
You gotta switch to your tone.
She has it.
But you don't have a map.
So what we're gonna present a couple of texts and maps, just so everybody can understand the reasoning or what the plan is here. And if you want to just go to this map here.
The green one?
The green one. That might have to jump around just a little bit. Yeah.
There it is.
So what you're seeing on your screen is the overall zoning map for Nottingham. The red line that you see at the top of the map is along Route 4, and the commercial district is the entire length of Route 4 within Nottingham and 1,000 feet from each side of the road. So it's approximately 2,000 feet plus the width of the road for the full length of Route 4. There's a whole bunch of varying uses that are allowed in the commercial zone, and currently the way that we have our zoning, single family and multifamily not to exceed 4 units is allowed. And based on our master plan from 2011, when I say our, the town Nottingham's master plan that was put together, it specifically had action items to look at how that use is being utilized, and has recommendations to eliminate single-family residential. If you can just run to that other map that was there with the, yeah. This is a blow-up of Route 4. Again, the red is the zone. What you see there in the gold are some fairly recent, within the last, I'd say 8 years, Those are new residential subdivisions that have come along for approval and have been approved and built out along Route 4. And that is in contrary, really, to what the zone is meant to do, and that's to develop commercial uses for varying degrees for tax income purposes. This is higher tax revenue for commercial use. So this is an area that the town has designated as wanting this. As larger tracts of land become available and developable, then we would see the current trend of having more residential along Route 4 and therefore eliminating potential commercial developments for the town. That's really the basis of the reason we did this, or we're proposing to do this. I don't know if you'd refer back to that text.
The other document?
Yeah, the other document. And second page.
This page or the next page?
Next page. This is a copy of our zoning ordinance as it reads right now. And under the zone, which is commercial industrial zone Route 4, that's section E, permitted use. Under that permitted use is A, residential, single-family, multifamily, not to exceed 4 units. The planning board and the master plan committee recommend that that be stricken from this section. And as a part of that, that really just makes other elements needing to be addressed within the zoning ordinance. So in the requirements of the setbacks, you see at the bottom, we would strike that the Article 2, Section C3 for dwelling units, that would not be applicable anymore. So that would need to be stricken from the zoning. And the next page, lot sizes. These refer to another section which lot sizes are included. We would like to to add in here what the actual lot sizes should be. So that would be refined. And then with that also in the section F, multifamily development, under the standards, number 2, it does have wording in here that a duplex shall be permitted in any zone. We've been advised not to include something like that, to say in any zone, since we do have separate zones already designated, that it should say that within that zone. So we've recommended striking that as a part of this warrant article. Again, in section 2B, similarly, we would strike permitted in all zones. That is the summary of what this warrant article proposes. I guess I'd turn it to anybody else in the board who would like to speak any more, or if I missed something.
Yeah, I would just like to add, specifically with the master plan, the goal being not to impact current residential properties within the zone, but just as a go-forward planning to maximize our commercial in that area. I don't want to be quoted on this, but I seem to recall from last year's taxes, was it 95 or 96% of our town tax revenue is from non-commercial sources. So obviously this is our best opportunity to try to find other opportunities for revenue, employment, et cetera, for the town.
Thanks. And when we say that it's not a permitted use in the commercial zone, that absolutely is moving forward. Those are permitted. Whatever's permitted, whatever uses are there prior to this warrant article will remain as a use that's allowable.
I would also just want to mention that really the benefit, one of the large benefits of having this commercial zone would be that it is what's considered a low impact revenue, so that most businesses that would be falling under this category would not produce children in school, very low impact for fire and also law enforcement. So, just to note that.
Yes. So one of the things we're tasked with as a planning board is just that planning. You know, it's looking at backwards and forwards and trying to set things up for the future as best as possible. And part of that is harmonious uses and where best to site these types of uses within a town. And a major state corridor is usually where you want your commercial and industrial things to develop, if they're going to develop. It also can send a note to developers that they're not going to have as much conflict with conflicting uses, like a residential area right next to them, if they do come in. But again, it's just citing those where appropriate, and normally state corridors are the most appropriate place for a commercial industrial type of thing, and keeps them out of the residential district.
Anybody else?
I guess it's my turn.
Well, you don't have to, but
No, that's okay. You know, again, as already been said, you know, we're trying to create a zone in town that is favorable to business development. I've always said if we're ever going to have a Nottingham business district, it's going to be up there on Route 4. And another good thing to point out here is that while folks are generally in favor of you know, bringing businesses to town for property tax relief, ultimately, it's always been a concern to preserve the small town look and feel of Nottingham. And if you look on the map, and the folks at home can see it too, that yellow section on this map down below is our town center. That's where the town hall is, and the library, and Liars, the old fire station, and so on. That's the town center, far and away removed from the business district up on Route 4. So we are effectively containing this you know, business-friendly development zone away from town center, so that it's not going to be a presence in people's daily lives, apart from, you know, the time that you spend actually traveling Route 4. Overall, I think this is a good move for the town. It's the first step in bringing us some property tax relief in the years ahead.
yeah, good point. Thank you. Anything, Teresa?
No, I have nothing to add. Thank you.
I think that covers what we hopefully explain, since we don't have, there is no public that's in the audience right now. The door is wide open. They're more than welcome to come in. Unfortunately, they chose not to attend this hearing, because we certainly would like to hear feedback from any of the townsfolk about this, whether it's positive or negative. We like to hear feedback, and that's the reason why we hold these public hearings. Public hearing is required, but it's also an obligation, I think, that all citizens should have to come in and speak your mind on issues that will affect you. Moving forward, since there is nobody in the public to speak, I would close the public hearing unless there's otherwise from anybody here. I'll close the public hearing, and what we need to do is have a motion to,
Yeah, but before we close the public hearing, but before we make a motion, I only had a question on the revised lettering for Article 2. Somewhere. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Article 2E, number 2. The proposed lettering is for A, setbacks, and just striking that verbiage. But I would recommend that we do A, setbacks, and then do like a sub number, commercial, industrial, and then what's currently D, change that to B.
we did, sorry. This
Okay.
Don't know why this one isn't.
And that's just a
updated
minor,
one.
that's minor and grammatical, so it doesn't impact our
Definitely the right one.
our notification or anything, so.
No, we went back and forth, Joanne and I, earlier. We caught that, but I guess it's not on the printed version.
No, I apologize.
Okay, so yeah, that would be 2 to 1 and 2, so commercial would be 1, industrial would be 2, lot sizes would be letter B. Yes, that's all I had.
Oh, I see what you mean. Commercial and industrial should be indented under
Yeah.
section A.
Yes.
Okay, I understand.
And obviously, this is something we've talked about quite a bit.
It is on the to be replaced with. So are you looking at current and then to be replaced with?
No, we're just looking at
Oh, you're looking.
presentation 1.
Oh, yeah.
If
In
you
your
look,
binders has the one that I fixed.
Thank you. That was so fast. I just asked for that, and you just did it.
I'm sitting here going, I spent a long time fixing all this. What happened?
Yeah, and then going back, obviously, this isn't something we just started, that we've talked about this for quite a while. It's been the master plan, and it's been part of a bunch of discussions at the planning board. So, been a lot of notice.
we did send this draft language to the town attorney. We did get a response back.
There you go.
And they do recommend having a question prescribed a different way, just a very summarized, versus all of this verbiage in the warrant article. So we would revert back to kind of the ones we had in a box here, just to amend the article to delete the permitted use. That summary would be what the warrant article would be.
That one there.
Yes, that one there.
Okay.
So that would be a little bit more simplified than the attorney also did have a number of other other comments in his letter, but it refers to other things in our zoning ordinance that does not cover this. So things that we had already talked about that needs to be kind of cleaned up, and other elements within the zoning that the kind of upcoming rewrite plan will cover these. So nothing relevant to this specific,
Good.
other than multifamily housing should be rewritten.
So the top box language, is that kind of how more likely this would appear on the warrant article?
Yes, it says, so it would be the question of, the ballot question can be considerably less than the entire ordinance. The question is prescribed by the RSA 675:3. Are you in favor of adoption of the amendment number, whatever amendment this is going to be, as proposed by the planning board for the Route 4 zoning ordinance, et cetera, et cetera. So that's how we would have it.
So it would be, so this is a section F twice, instead of section F, E, and then F. And then at the bottom of the box where it
So it
says,
should be E.
this is consistent with the master plan, that the commercial and industrial zone be used for those, purposes. You should probably add the word not be used for those purposes. 'Cause we're taking it out.
Right, we're
because-
negating an ability.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So just to repeat that, because I said that kind of fast. So looking at the warrant article, the box part, where it says non-monetary zoning amendments, the very second paragraph, I'm sorry, to amend zoning ordinance Article 2, Section E, instead of F. The other part is correct. And then at the very bottom, where it says this is consistent with the master plan, that the commercial industrial zone be used for those purposes, I'm proposing, saying, we should probably add the word not. So this is consistent with the master plan, that the commercial industrial zone not be used for those purposes.
Could we be a little more specific by saying that, consistent with the master plan, that the commercial industrial zone not be used for residential construction purposes? That way, it's sort of a plain English, description of what the whole thing is about.
And we don't get into an argument about what the subject of the sentence is from a grammar standpoint.
Right.
Not be used for residential purposes. I think that's clear.
Yep.
Residential purposes, or did you say residential development?
Residential development purposes, there's,
What do we want?
there's a variety of words that would
I
fit
like,
nice.
I like development or something like that.
Residential
because
development.
That way it's clear that it's additional development and not existing.
Okay.
Right, right. And it would also help clear up some of the misunderstanding about, some people believing that this is intended to allow large apartment complexes to come into town, which is absolutely not even close to the purpose of this.
Right.
And that could still occur. It would follow the normal process if this were to pass, which would be zoning ordinance, zoning variance relief.
So just so we're even more clear, I will read the permitted uses within the commercial industrial zone. If this amendment were to pass, it would be retail wholesale establishment, service facility including eating and lodging, theater, cultural center, houses of worship, professional office space, government buildings, mortuaries, educational facilities, and those by special exception. Industrial uses. And that's it.
And obviously, we have this on the agenda to, as we redo as we look to rework the zoning ordinance anyway. My reading of special exceptions is you pretty much have to state what can fall under special exception. And maybe Teresa would be better to speak towards that as part of a zoning, but unless you actually outline what could be a special exception, there isn't one. It has to go as a variance instead,
Right,
was my understanding of it.
but they had also said that if you list off all of what is, there may be things you leave out,
Right.
so,
Yeah.
yeah. It's kind of a catch-22 to list off all the special exceptions.
But it's outside of the realm of this
Right.
intent anyway.
So I don't know if we need a vote, because we already did vote on this.
I would say we can take another,
Another vote?
Typically at the end of the little box, voted for, in favor by the planning board, and then how many?
Like a vote to recommend.
Yeah.
So
and I know in the past, after a public hearing, we've held a vote and then it didn't move forward, whereas it had a vote to get to that
Okay,
point.
sure,
So-
yeah, no, I agree with that then.
So I think it,
I was gonna say, the last time, I wasn't part of this side of it, I was part of the public, and we had spoken, there was enough of us that spoke out against what the recommendation was, so then the board went back and changed their vote not to go forward with it.
Sure.
I think at this point, if, just be a reaffirmation of it.
So that being the case, I would entertain a motion then.
Alright. Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the amendment to the zoning ordinance for the Article 2, Section E, Commercial Industrial Zone, to delete the permitted use of residential, single-family, and multifamily not to exceed 4 units, and amend the zoning ordinance, Article 2, Section F, multifamily development, to delete permitted use wording in the section that is already specified within each zone district and the district sections.
Second.
Just a quick clarification.
For the ballot.
So, yeah, for the ballot, and you had indicated in your motion that it would be section F and it should be E.
She said section
She said
E
E.
for the first
E,
one.
you did?
E and F. Mhm.
Yeah, she read both of them
Oh,
separately.
okay, okay. My apologies. So there's a motion and a second. Those are fine. Those in favor indicate aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That's unanimous, 2, 4, 6, 0.
Well, Mr. Chairman, unless there's anything else you want a motion to adjourn, or,
Motion to adjourn would be great.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move that we adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second by Teresa. Sorry. Those in favor? Indicate aye.
Aye.
This meeting's adjourned.